Bonjour, mes amis. Bonjour, bonjour. Je m'appelle George. Je parle français un peu, mais je ne parle pas bien. I'm going to do this in English. My name is George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, and I'm joined by individuals today from a variety of organizations as we sign a language access executive order for Westchester County government. I want to point out with us today is Westchester County legislator David Tubiolo. David?
Thank you, George.
Oh, you're here, right behind me. There we go. Good to see you. Thank you. David was critical in helping us do this, and we're very much appreciative. We're also appreciative that Marianne Bateman is here today representing legislator Damon Marr, whose district we're in today. Marianne? And on behalf of Damon and the rest of the Board of Legislators, we have a number of people here who are going to have a chance to speak and talk a little bit about what we're about to do here. Basically, this activity today is to sign an executive order that is binding on all departments of the county government with a couple of exceptions. Just governmentally, the Board of Legislators, the Board of Elections, the District Attorney, and the County Clerk operate outside of the direct authority of the county executive. So any executive order we do will apply to all of the operating departments. So this applies to the Department of Health, the Department of Social Services, the Department of Mental Health, Parks and Recreations, and so forth. And I think David and Damon has the power to do this for the Board of Legislators too. So we'll get another one of the departments in. What this says, very simply, this language access executive order, put together with the assistance of all of these advocates helping us get it, hopefully we think just right, is that documents will be made available in prominent languages so that people whose primary language is either Spanish, Italian, Chinese, French, including Haitian Creole, Arabic, Tagalog, Japanese, or Albanian, any of the 6 most common top 5 languages spoken in Westchester County, that they will find that documents will be available for whatever they might apply for in that natural language, in their native language, as well as in English. Now, just the grandson of Irish immigrants, they didn't have a language problem when they came here, but I'm the great-grandson of Italian-American immigrants. And when my great-grandfather came, and he went back 2 years later to get the woman who became my great-grandmother here, they were not fluent in English. They lived here in Westchester County. They spoke primarily Italian. And, of course, in that world, they weren't particularly welcome, but they worked hard, and their son became a police officer in Harrison. His daughter became my mother. And over the years, we each have had successive generations here in this country. But I've never forgot the immigrant experience of my Italian great-grandfather. And so what we're doing today applies to those people here today from Italy, from any of the Latin American countries, from any of the Asian countries, any place on this globe where they come to America for freedom, they come to Westchester County for good quality of living, and they want to be able to interact with us, to get a parks pass to use our parks, to be able to sign up for a pass for the buses, to be able to sign up for any services that they're entitled to through any of these different departments, that we reach out to them in a language that they can understand and be helpful by in their primary language. We have this host for us here today. The Generoso Pope Foundation is an exemplar of advancing within the American structure Italian-American heritage. And although I happen to share that heritage, everyone here is proud of their heritage, the countries that they and or their parents and grandparents came from. And Generoso Pope has been a very generous organization here in the village of Tuckahoe, sponsoring very many things. And the success of the original Mr. Pope, now down through the foundation, through David Pope, a representative of the family, is an example of the spirit of cooperation that comes by people who look back on their immigrant roots, and while they were born here, they recognize that their antecedents were not, and that they have had success here in this country, here in this county, and we want to share that success as broadly as we can so that everybody has the chance, so that people who are here as a first generation today will have a great-granddaughter or great-grandson who will be your county executive at that point in time in the future. So without continuing on with all of these different things, we do want to give a special thanks to Stephen Choi, who's of the New York Immigration Coalition, Carola Bracco from Neighbors Link, and Theo Oshiro from Make the Road New York. All of their organizations and many others here have contributed greatly to this effort. And I'm joined by a number of people from my executive staff in the county government. Martha Lopez is with us here, and she has responsibility for the outreach with this. The ever-present Catherine Chaffee is director of our communications efforts, and of course she'll be available to help with any information that might follow. So we have a number of people that I want to say a few words. Am I going to sign the order first? Do you want me to do this? Okay, we'll make it official first.
Bravo! Sí se puede!
This executive order, written in legalese, says that each language access plan shall set forth at a minimum the following: when and by what means the department, each department of county government, will provide language assistance services, the titles of all available translated documents, and the languages into which they have been translated, the number of public contact positions in the department, and the number of bilingual employees in public contact positions, including the languages they speak. I am the designated French speaker for the county executive. I think I probably am not going to get the work out that others will. But it also identifies a plan for how the department intends to notify the population that they serve, that a staff person shall serve as a language access coordinator in that department, that each of those language access coordinators will monitor compliance. The Executive Director of the Human Rights Commission shall oversee, coordinate, and provide guidance to the agencies, and that this executive order shall be effective within 30 days and disseminated to all department commissioners and so forth. And this is dated, today is the 5th of March?
Yes.
March 5th, 2019, and I'm signing it, George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. It is now in force. So with that, I'm going to ask Carola Bracco, Executive Director of Neighbors Link, to say a few words, and then we'll go right through a host of people, each of whom want to share their thoughts. Carola.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Carola Bracco, Executive Director of Neighbors Link. For immigrants to integrate in our community, it is critical that everyone has the ability to access information and services in a language that they can understand, especially in times of emergency. This is a human rights issue, this is a human respect issue, and it is common sense. This is how we treat people with dignity. And I applaud the county executive. From the very first day that Steve Choi of the New York Immigration Coalition and I met with you and floated this idea, you immediately agreed to do it. And the idea of signing the language access executive order was a yes to you. And in fact, I remember that you announced it the very next day, publicly and without hesitation. And for this, I thank you. This is a critical step toward creating a more inclusive and welcoming county. We are all more secure when everyone can access the services and information they need and deserve in a language that they can understand. And it's important to note that Westchester is part of an effort that is going on across the state to implement language access. This is exciting and so very critical at this time. County Executive George Latimer in Westchester County is joining a statewide movement to create a more welcoming environment. And this has been several years in the making. En un momento en que los miembros de la comunidad de inmigrantes se están sintiendo atacados y un número cada vez mayor está cayendo en manos de ICE, esta orden envía un mensaje claro. Queremos que cada persona que vive en esta comunidad se sienta seguro buscando la información que necesitan. Queremos que todos conozcan sus derechos. At a time when the immigrant community is being targeted and a growing number of people are falling into the hands of ICE, this executive order sends a clear message that we want every person that lives in this community to feel safe, getting the information that they need to care for their families. We want everyone to be able to understand their rights. Thank you very much for this, and thank you, County Executive George Latimer.
Next, we have from Make the Road, New York, I believe Miriam Serrano will speak, accompanied by Theo Oshiro.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Miriam, vengo de Westchester, New York, soy miembro de Camino a Nueva York Y agradecemos mucho por esta ley que están dando, porque a veces por el idioma no podemos desenvolverlos en otra forma. Y le agradecemos a él, pues, por esta oportunidad que los está dando. Gracias, le agradecemos.
And in the spirit of the executive order, I'm going to interpret for Miriam. Miriam is a member of Make the Road New York, and she's extremely thankful to the county executive for doing this policy. And it is a challenge for limited English proficient people to not be able to communicate in their language, and this will be a huge step forward for immigrants here in Westchester County. And once again, she wanted to thank the county executive. On behalf of Make the Road New York, my name is Theo, Deputy Director at Make the Road New York. I also want to thank the county executive and all of his staff for working tirelessly on this issue, and really just going over all of the details along with us on what this order should look like, so it actually had impact on the lives of immigrant community members. And so we're hugely thankful, and I think the message really is here that immigrants are welcome in Westchester County, are here to stay, and that our Westchester County's doors are open to immigrant communities. So thank you so much.
Next, I'd like to invite my friend John Calvelli to speak.
Buongiorno a tutti, il mio nome è John Calvelli, io sono un emigrante del Bronx, che sono qui adesso, che mi trovo qui oggi con tutti voi. Voglio dare un saluto, un ringraziamento al nostro Presidente, perché lui ha una passione e rispetta gli emigranti. Siamo tutti emigranti qui oggi. So, hello, my name is John Cavelli. My Spanish friends understood me pretty quickly. I jokingly said that I'm an immigrant from the Bronx. I came up here to Westchester. My parents were born in Italy, in southern Italy, in Calabria. And I can only say that my grandparents, my great-grandparents came here as well. And it's a little late for many members of our community. There's still a large Italian community here in Westchester County that does not speak English. So therefore, sometimes they are forgotten. And thank you to the president, to the county executive. He has remembered us. And I just want to stand here and say thank you that a great Italian-American county executive, we'll forget the Irish part just for a second, but a great Italian-American county executive brought this forward and basically has made sure that we don't forget we are all immigrants and that we're all in this together. And so it's my honor and privilege to be here standing by our county executive. Thank you very much.
As a politician, you learn 3 words in every language. Next, we have with us from the Organization for Chinese Americans, Bill Kong. Bill? Good to see you again, my friend.
Hi, my name is Bill Kong. I'm with the OCA Advocate. We are advocacy group for Asian Pacific Islander American rights. The only thing I have to say is about time. I think Westchester County is a very ethnic, diverse county. We need to serve all our residents in the county with different languages. In the past, when I need information in Chinese or other Asian language, I have to go to another city to get the information. And then, of course, I have to change the contact information. So it's like voter registration information, and I have to, kind of block out the other city's name and put in Westchester County. So it's about time, and we need to, especially with the senior citizens information for the county, there are quite a few Asian American senior citizen that needs information, and it's sometimes hard to communicate with them without information in their native language. So this is very welcome news, and as I said, it's about time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill. Next, we have Merlene Chauvette from the Haitian Resource Center.
Thank you, County Executive George Latimer and staff. I am Merlene Chauvette, coordinator of the Haitian Resource Center at the Thomas H. Slater Center in White Plains. It is a great pleasure to be here representing the Haitian community. By providing these documents in different native languages, it shows that Westchester stands for inclusivity. This act shows that these communities are seen and welcomed. As a member of the Haitian community, this moment truly resonates with me. We invite you to celebrate the Haitian Flag Day with us on May 18th. Comme un membre de communauté haïtienne. Nous remercions. Thank you.
Next, we have Rula Al-Najjar Abu-Ali, who is an adult English second language teacher at the Viva School in Yonkers.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here on behalf of the Catholic Church. My name is Rula Al-Najjar Abu-Ali. I'm actually an ESL teacher for an adult education program here in Yonkers. Our school is called Viva School. It is the house of Yonkers residents that are not fluent in English. So having such a law passed would provide many people an opportunity to understand simple documents that they have to fill out for themselves and their families every day. I see many of my Arabic-speaking Yonkers residents in need to have many of the documents translated into the Arabic language. I always volunteer to translate many of the documents and try to help them fill out simple forms that they cannot fill out themselves. So we are very happy to have this law passed. So on behalf of our Arabic community, we are pleased and happy to have such a law passed. مساء الخير، أنا اسمي رولا النجار أبو علي، أنا مدرسة للغة الإنجليزية لطلاب في مدرسة بيونكرز. مثل هذا القرار حيساعد كتير ناس يعبوا الطلبات اللي هم لازم يعبوها بدون ما يطلبوا مساعدة من أي حدا. هذا القانون حيساعد كتير ناس يعبوا كل وثيقة لازم يعبوها. إحنا كعرب في مدينة يونكرز سعيدين ونؤيد جدا تطبيق مثل هذا القانون. شكرا لكم. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Next up is Isabel Coelho Marquez with the New York Portuguese American Leadership Conference, also a member of our Census 2020 committee, which there'll be more to announce in a couple of months, month and a half.
Boa tarde a todos, meu nome é Isabel Marques, eu estou aqui a representar a NAIPALC, que é a organização da comunidade portuguesa aqui no estado de Nova York. My name is Isabel Marquez. I'm the president of NAIPALC, the New York Portuguese Leadership Conference, the Association for the Portuguese American Organizations in the state of New York. We represent 67 member organizations spread out all the way from Westchester all the way into the city, and we have a prominent presence. Actually, the largest presence is here in Westchester County, with a dominating force in Tarrytown, Ossining, Yonkers, Mount Vernon, and New Rochelle. I would like to congratulate and thank the county executive for taking this initiative and having the leadership to be able to pass this law. This is not only for the Portuguese-speaking community, it is indeed for all the communities. And while we row in the same direction, we will be able to serve our communities much, much better. So thank you so much, county executive.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask my colleague in government, David Tubiolo, legislator from Yonkers and Mount Vernon, to share our thoughts. David, thank you again for your leadership.
Thank you. Mirsavini. Emria Mamasht, David Tubiolo, un chokut I deputat I Lijvens. Chokul Presidente George Latimer, Shukran Vlaem Yeme, Surprise Ditan. Emi Shum I Gazorche Kotuk Documenta Dote Pukthonhen Ber Jehen Ship. Thaman Derek. Shiptar I Mad, Shipri I Mad, Ton. Udo to do a dashari, surprise a deeten, Flamin Derek. Did anyone get that?
God, thank you.
I saw Mary Ann just look at me. What I said was, I'm David Tubiolo, the county legislator, and I thank my friend, who's my brother, George Latimer, the county executive, for helping with this law and translating our documents into the Albanian language. We have a very large Albanian community that's growing, and it's important that we help people who come here as immigrants, who don't know the language necessarily, can't read and write in English, and they need help. So I thank once again, not just everyone here, but for George for working with us. And we have a saying in SHIP called Punemir, means good works. George, Punemir, per zoten zemmerplat. Family Derek.
Just before we go to take questions, as a closing general comment, this work, the heavy lifting, was not done by me. Oftentimes what happens in government is people who get elected to office take credit for things that other people really do. But it's a sense of what's right that leads us in a direction, and then to have talented people help make that direction real is really what we're accomplishing here today. I believe that this executive order makes a major step forward. Certainly the Board of Legislators has the option to determine if, as an executive order, which lasts for the duration of this administration, if they choose to make this a law of Westchester County, which is within their purview to do if they see fit. But I know that on a personal level, as I listen to each of the people who spoke, and I see many more people than those that spoke, and those of you who are here covering this, each of us has our own journey. Each of us has our own story. We have our own story of who our parents were and who our grandparents were and what that means to us at the point in time that we are. Some of us are young at the front end of our journey. Some of us are late in that journey but not yet completed. But it gives us the opportunity to do something. And from my standpoint, as I sit here today, the man that I never knew, that I never met, was a man by the name of Donato Mainero. He was the young 18-year-old boy, 17-year-old boy that left a rural town outside of Naples, took a ship to America to find a better life in the 1880s. He was by profession a stonemason. There was a lot of stonework going on here. Don't know if he worked on the Kensico Dam or not, but the bottom line is he came here, he worked hard, and 2 years he went back and he got his fiancée, Josefina, to come with him to America. And they wanted a better life for them and their future progeny, which is exactly what everybody else here wants and exactly what everybody else represents, that there be a better life. Wherever you start out your life, that it be a better life. He could not have foreseen his son, nor his granddaughter, nor his great-grandson, but I owe him a debt of gratitude for what he did. Here in this building, John and I share our Italian-American roots. Everybody has different roots, but we owe a debt of gratitude to those roots. And today, Donato Mainero, I have paid my debt to you to let you know that your great-grandson did not forget your sacrifice, and today we bring it, the circle closed, to do right for the people who are immigrants of today. Now we'll open it up to questions. Anybody from the press that would like to ask a question of me or any of our speakers, I assume they would be happy to answer in whatever language they choose to speak. But are there any questions from the press? And at the end of this, if you'd rather interview people one-on-one, that's perfectly fine with us as well. But are there any general questions to be asked about the action today or any other issue?
I mean, it's 2019. I'm wondering why it took so long for this to happen. And also, isn't there already some laws in place that require counties, municipalities to have things in several languages?
No, the truth of the matter is there aren't laws in place to do that. When we looked at this issue, and it was raised, as Carola said, very early on in my tenure, we looked to see what kind of laws applied, and there really was not definitive laws about what forms and what kind of access to speakers in different languages should be made available. And it became apparent to us that it was at our option as a county government to determine what we would do. We're not the first government to do this. Others have already. But we saw this as a very logical thing to do. And now by putting this into place today, we set not only a policy for today, but we set a precedent that we think other governments similar to us can take on. There are 57 county governments in New York State. And so all across the state with this immigrant movement, people will say, well, if Westchester could do it, if Suffolk County can do it, then we in such and such a county can do it as well. Every part of the state has some different ethnic demographics. So this policy builds into the fact of what the prominent ethnicities are in this area. For example, we don't include Polish because our Polish population is not as high to rank in the top 6 or so. But I'm sure if our friends in Erie County were to adopt this policy, that Polish speakers would be much higher on the list and probably included. But we did not find a law on the books or an executive order on the books. That's what we've created today to try to solidify that.
And in general, before, what were the main languages you guys were providing documents in or having speakers for?
Well, I think in general, the most prominent language besides English is Spanish. I mean, I think we realize that we have a high percentage of Spanish-speaking residents in this county. And I'd say probably Italian historically would be the next largest. At some point in time, Italian was the largest, to be more recently supplanted by Spanish. But some of the other languages we've identified with, certainly Chinese, Asian languages, we have a much higher population, a much higher diverse population in Westchester today than we've ever had before. And in fact, when we first started this process, I wasn't sure what some of the languages might be. David pointed out the rise of the Albanian community in this county and how much larger it is today than most people would have thought. So I think this order, as it goes and grows, will be a living document. And I don't think we're going to eliminate a language in the future just to add another one to keep it at a certain number. I think as we see patterns of population, if a population trend grows and another language has a very high presence here, then we would adapt to that as well. And the process of making these forms appropriate in these different languages is really a one-shot expenditure. Once you've translated the document, you might modify the document in the future, but the front-end costs now are really the costs for all time unless we do other types of things. So I think what we do today really does not have much of an expense side of this. And then, of course, the people that have to be fluent in these languages, we obviously have to anticipate that somebody's going to walk in the door of such and such a department fluent in a particular language to make sure that we have somebody in the county government that can handle that responsibility. But as we've started to survey through the county government, we have a tremendous diversity in our workforce of 4,000 or so people, and I think we'll be able to answer and marry up to this properly. Any other questions? If not, then I want to thank all of the advocates who took time to be here. Holding those signs for about a half an hour is no fun. Thank you very much for your advocacy. You made this day